Sometimes life has a cruel way of shifting beneath your feet, pulling the rug out from under you when you least expect it. One moment, you believe you have a firm grasp on reality, and the next, you realize everything you thought you knew was nothing more than an illusion. That night was one of those moments for me, a night that shattered the foundations of my trust and changed my life forever. I came home earlier than usual, expecting nothing more than a quiet evening. I had spent the day buried under the weight of deadlines, back-to-back meetings, and the relentless demands of work. All I wanted was to kick off my shoes, crack open a cold beer, and sink into the familiar comfort of my couch before Anna, my wife, returned home. But as I stepped inside, something felt off. The house was eerily silent. No distant hum of the television, no clinking of dishes in the sink, just an oppressive stillness that wrapped around me like a suffocating fog. At first, I told myself she had probably gone out, that there was nothing unusual about the emptiness of the house. Yet deep inside, something gnawed at me. A whisper of unease slithered through my mind, an instinct I couldn't quite place, but couldn't ignore either. I stood in the dimly lit hallway, listening, waiting, straining to catch even the faintest sign of life. My breath quickened. The air grew heavier, thicker, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Slowly, I ascended the stairs, each step a drumbeat echoing through the silence. My heart pounded against my ribs, though I couldn't yet explain why. When I reached our bedroom door, I hesitated. My hand hovered over the doorknob, trembling ever so slightly. And then I heard it, a muffled moan, followed by the rustling of bodies shifting against fabric. My blood ran cold. For a moment, I stood there, paralyzed, trapped between disbelief and a creeping certainty. My mind scrambled for rational explanations, desperate to deny what my ears had already confirmed. But then another sound, louder, unmistakable, drove a dagger of truth through my chest. I pushed the door open just enough to see inside, and what I witnessed was nothing short of a nightmare. There, tangled in the sheets we once shared, was Anna, her body entwined with another's. And not just anyone. David, my closest friend, the man I had trusted, confided in, considered a brother. Shock froze me in place. My mind emptied, my thoughts dissolving into a void of silent agony. I wanted to scream, to rage, to tear the room apart, but I couldn't move. I could only watch as the two people I trusted most desecrated everything I held sacred. Slowly, silently, I backed away, my heartbeat a deafening roar in my ears. I stumbled down the stairs, barely feeling the ground beneath me. Every breath was an effort, each one heavier than the last, as though the air itself had turned to stone. I reached the kitchen and sank into a chair, my hands shaking as I tried to process the reality of what I had just seen. A storm of thoughts battered my mind. Should I confront them now? Should I storm back upstairs and tear their lies apart? Or should I wait, calm myself, think plan? My fury burned, but beneath it was something colder, sharper, a quiet, simmering rage far more dangerous than any outburst. Then the front door creaked. Footsteps descended the stairs. I looked up just as Anna stepped into view, her face still flushed, her expression unreadable, until she saw me. She froze. The smile she had been wearing slipped away, replaced by something raw and unspoken. "You're home early," she said, her voice unsteady, a trace of something almost like fear beneath the words. I studied her, taking in the way her fingers fidgeted at her sides, the way her breathing quickened. The words I wanted to hurl at her burned in my throat, but I swallowed them down, forcing my voice to remain steady. "Yes," I said, my gaze never leaving hers. I wasn't expecting to find this. Her eyes widened, panic flaring to life. "What do you mean?" she asked, too quickly, her voice an octave too high. "Don't play dumb, Anna," I said, rising to my feet with measured control. I saw everything. The color drained from her face. Her lips parted, but no words came out. We both knew the truth was out, exposed, undeniable. And yet, even now, she chose deception over honesty. "It's not what you think," she stammered, her hands trembling as she grasped for an excuse. "David was just helping me with something. It's not what it looks like." A bitter laugh escaped me, hollow and sharp. The sound of it seemed to reverberate through the room, filling the silence between us with something cold and broken. "Helping you?" I echoed, my voice laced with incredulity. "In our bedroom?" Anna flinched but said nothing. For the first time, she had no lies left to hide behind. And in that moment, as I stood there, staring at the woman I had once loved beyond measure, I knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. I watched as the realization dawned in Anna's eyes, her mind racing for an escape, a way to twist the truth into something less damning. But there was nowhere to go. She was trapped in the web of her own deceit, and I was no longer the fool who would believe her lies. "How long, Anna?" My voice was cold, steady, stripped of emotion. Her gaze fell to the floor, unable to meet mine. A flicker of guilt, of shame, but not enough to undo what she had done. "It's complicated," she whispered. The word left a bitter taste in my mouth. "Complicated?" I repeated, scoffing. "You're sleeping with my best friend, and you call it complicated?" Before she could answer, the front door opened. The sound of footsteps, casual and unhurried, echoed through the hallway. Then David stepped in, completely unaware of the storm waiting to consume him. The moment his eyes landed on me, his face drained of color. His gaze darted between Anna and me, a silent calculation of what I knew, how much damage had already been done. "Tom," he swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. "I can explain. Don't bother." I cut him off before he could weave another lie. "There's nothing left to explain." Silence settled between us, heavy and suffocating. I felt it then, the full weight of my world collapsing. The life I thought I had, the future I had envisioned with Anna, the friendships I had trusted, it was all gone, reduced to nothing in a single moment. And yet, amidst the wreckage, there was clarity. "You both disgust me." My voice trembled, not with sorrow, but with the fury simmering beneath my skin. "Did you think I wouldn't notice? The late nights, the secretive texts, the way you both started treating me like a stranger in my own home? I should have seen this coming." Anna took a hesitant step forward, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Tom, please." I raised my hand, cutting her off. "No," I said, my tone firm. "You don't get to cry. You don't get to play the victim. You made your choice, and now you have to live with it." Then I turned to David, the man who had stood beside me through so much, only to drive a knife into my back. "And you?" I took a slow breath, barely restraining the loathing in my voice. "I trusted you. You took everything from me." He opened his mouth, perhaps to stammer out some excuse, some pathetic attempt at redemption, but I didn't let him. "Don't even try," I said. "There's nothing you can say to fix this." Reaching for my keys on the table, I walked to the door. I paused, looking at them one last time. "I hope you're happy together," I said. "Because you've both lost me." The door slammed behind me, the sound reverberating through the empty hallway like a final nail in the coffin of what we once were. The cold night air hit my face, and for the first time in hours, I felt like I could breathe. But relief was fleeting. I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between us grew into something unbearable. Anna left messages on my phone, sent emails, begged me to talk to her, but I ignored every plea. I couldn't go back. Not after what I had seen. Then, one evening, I found myself outside David's apartment. The glow of warm light seeped through the curtains, mocking me with its illusion of normalcy. My hands curled into fists, the urge to act gnawing at me. Revenge whispered in my ear, tempting me with its bitter promise. I reached into my pocket, pulling out a number I had been holding on to for weeks. A private investigator, the kind of man who knew how to unearth the ugliest secrets people tried to bury. If Anna and David thought they could move on, free of consequence, they were dead wrong. What he uncovered was far worse than I had imagined. Their betrayal ran deeper than stolen nights and tangled sheets. They had been deceiving me in every aspect of my life, orchestrating lies beyond their affair. With the weight of the evidence in my hands, I had a choice to make. I could confront them, lay bare the truth, and walk away. But that wasn't enough. Not for me. I needed justice. Not the loud, reckless kind fueled by rage, but something quieter, sharper. A reckoning they would never see coming. A week later, everything was in place. David was the first to fall. The investigator had uncovered his shady dealings at work, a carefully constructed facade hiding years of dishonesty. That morning, I waited outside his office, watching as he stepped inside, oblivious. And then I saw it, the moment his world unraveled. Panic. Disbelief. Betrayal from those he once called colleagues. His company turned its back on him, and every ounce of trust he had built crumbled in an instant. As for Anna, her downfall was different. She kept trying to reach me, desperate to repair the ruins of what she had destroyed. One evening, I came home to find her standing at my door, her eyes red and swollen with tears. "Tom, please," she whispered. "We can fix this." It was a mistake. I studied her for a long moment, taking in the broken woman before me. But inside, I felt nothing. No anger. No sorrow. No pity. I stepped closer, my voice calm. "Anna," I said. "Things we bury don't come back." She blinked, confusion flickering across her face. "You should have thought about that before." I turned away, shutting the door between us, severing whatever thread still connected us. And in that moment, I felt it. Freedom. The past was ashes. The people who had betrayed me were nothing more than ghosts. I took a deep breath, exhaled, and stepped forward, into the rest of my life without them.